So this is a picture. What I tried to do is I tried to get like a nice assortment, if you will, just with me and Andy, the kids and their family. So this is Andy and I with Kate and Ali. Ali's our son-in-law from China. They married in 2009. They had a son and a daughter. Their first child wasn't born till late 2013. So I don't think there's any kids in the picture yet. So I'm guessing this is probably around maybe 2011 or born 2015. So I'm thinking this is probably around 2018. This would be before COVID. But from the left, that's Jacqueline, that's our youngest, and then Andy and Daniel, that's our son, and then I'm in the middle there. And then Elena and uh, Kate and Elena and Kate, Ali, Elena, and Kai. I have this kind of stop and think. So that's their family. Jacqueline was not married yet. So that's a picture of Sean. Sean's our youngest grandchild. We have three, two boys and two grandsons and a granddaughter. Sean was born in December 12th of 2023. He just turned two, so that's one of his earliest pictures. And that would be down at Jacqueline's in Pickerington, which is outside of Columbus.
Nice.
Cute
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, he's very cute, very round, very yeah, Jacqueline always teases me that I got my blue-eyed grandbaby, so I don't really care. But we knew with Ali, brown eyes that Elena and Kai were not going to have brown eyes. So we always kind of joke about that, but they're all wonderful. So that's our son-in-law. That's Dan. So that's Jacqueline's. That's Jacqueline's our youngest. That's her husband. They when they went on their honeymoon, I think they went to Switzerland, and this is one of the honeymoon pictures. So he's like dipping, I don't know if it's like cheese and fondue. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing there, but that was one of the pictures that they had taken on their honeymoon in
Looks
Switzerland.
like it.
Yeah, it's Dan. That's our second son-in-law. This is Sammy
Aw,
and Tommy. Yeah, this was taken at Jacqueline. She's lived in several different places down in Virginia until she moved back. There was an apartment she was renting or a small house in Richmond. But that's Tommy on the left and Sammy on the right. Tommy is now, I think Tommy is four, and even though they have boy names, they sound like boy names. They're both girls. But Tommy on the left, I think it's short for Thomasina, I think. But anyway, she's like part Australian. I think it's Australian sheepdog and then part collie. She's very skittish. They think that they were both rescue dogs and they think that she may have been abused. So it really takes a while for her to warm up to humans. It's kind of sad. Jacqueline's real good with her, but she's very skittish. And then Sammy on the right, Sammy just loves everybody. So this is Daniel and myself. So Daniel, when Kate had been over in China for 2 years. She taught high school for a year, and then she came home for a little while and went back for another year and taught college. And when Daniel, who's 6 years younger, when he couldn't get a job, she said, "Daniel, go over to China and or go to China or go to Korea. There's all kind of teaching jobs." And he did. And so basically, a few months after he graduated from Ohio State, he went over to China. He was on the mainland for a while, wasn't real crazy about the mainland. He was in southern China, but he was in Guangzhou, and from there he could access Hong Kong pretty easily. He fell in love with Hong Kong, and he was in Hong Kong for about 4 years. So I really missed him. Went over several times to visit with him. This is along the harbor. So in Hong Kong, the downtown, there's Hong Kong, and then there's Hong Kong Island. This is along the harbor, and you can kind of like walk along the harbor, and you probably see. I think they call them a junk, Junk. It's a type of boat, and you can kind of see that in the background. And that was a rather cloudy day, if you will, or maybe
right.
yeah. And then this is one of the wedding pictures of Jacqueline and Dan. Kate didn't have a lot of wedding pictures taken. We have some. We don't have a lot, but Jacqueline did go with a professional wedding picture. Kate and Ali, he came over on a fiance visa, and you have to get married in 90 days, and they wanted to get married very quickly. They got married in like 5 weeks after he got here. So we put together a wedding very quickly. We did not have a professional photographer. So we have pictures, but not as nice as these. So they've been on the Great Wall twice. And so this was the first time when, like I said, Kate was over in China, and she had gone over in 2000 and I think it was 2005. And basically, and when she was getting towards the end, she said, "Come visit me," because she knows I like to travel, and I couldn't turn her down. So I was in a rush. I was able to get a visa real quickly, and she had met Ali in China, and there's kind of a cute little story with that. But anyway, so this was the first time I was in China. Ali at that time was a tour guide, and him and a friend of his, they took Kate and I. There's the Great Wall is several thousand miles, and there's different portions. This was kind of like the non-touristy part, which was nice, although it was not in real good repair, so I was a little hesitant to climb it. In the background, we had somebody take a picture, and it actually turned out really nice. And then from there, we took the train up to Fairbanks, and we even took a day trip up to Arctic Circle. So yeah, if you've never been to Alaska, I highly recommend it. Very different, but in the summer, it actually, I think that was taken in July or no, August. I think we went. It was actually pretty warm. So this is another picture of Elena and Kai, and this is one of my favorites. This was probably taken around, oh gosh, judging by Kai's age, probably around 2017, 2018. He looks to be maybe he's probably not older than two in that picture. They're very close in age. They're only a year and a half apart. But I'd sent a note to Chuck. I love this picture. I just love the size, like especially Kai, this little kid in this big chair. This was taken at one of their older homes, but one of the reasons, aside from the kids, which obviously is the best, but Elena, the little orange cap she has on, that was a favorite cap of Kate's when she was little. When the kids were younger, we really liked Vermont, and we went there several times. And there was a craft show. We went up there. I think it was the year Daniel was born, so it was like before his birth. But Kate would have been 6, and we went to this little craft show, and Kate liked this little hat, and it was so cute. She would wear it all the time. Well, now she's passed it down to her kid, to Elena. So that's cute. I hope they keep it. That's one of our favorite pictures of Sammy. So that's when she was a puppy, and I just remember we never had dogs growing up. And with Daniel, when he was younger, he had asthma so bad, and the doctor said no pets because they were really concerned with the dander and the fur and all that. But anyway, so Jacqueline, was never very happy she couldn't have dogs, so she couldn't wait to get married or to get married and have her own. But I would always send like little bows and scarves down. So he was just or she was just a puppy. This was taken around maybe around 2021. So obviously this might have still been when COVID was going on, but about a year or so into it. And I had gone down to visit with them, and they're real big into like the funny animal videos. So we would just kind of, if we couldn't go outside much, we would just kind of sit and watch the funny videos, and they would always enjoy that. So they like spending time with grandma. So
This is your Christmas card.
oh yeah, so that would be the one from this year. So you guys, if I think we sent out 2 or 3 different cards. If you didn't get that one, you got some variation of them. Some of them had pictures on the back, but then there was fewer on the front. But so the top left, real quick, that's Andy and myself at Stan Hewitt. Sitting has been to visit 50 states, but not just do drive-throughs or drive-bys. I want to actually see something of significance in each state. So we had actually driven up to the border of North Dakota many years ago, but it was like a mile in, a mile out. So I said to Andy, I said, I wanted to just do a trip to North Dakota. And there's not a lot up there. But one of the things that we had found was the Theodore Roosevelt park. And if you're familiar with the Badlands in South Dakota, I think it's just more or less an extension of that. So that was kind of like that was our trip this summer. The top right is Elena and Kai. We like Outer Banks, and we had rented a condo for a week. So that was this summer with them. And you can kind of see through the pictures as they're starting to grow up a little bit. And then Sammy at the bottom, she's unlike Tommy, who's very skittish. Sammy will sit there and let you put socks on her and dress her up and all that. So I have like a little Santa hat, and then I put my scarf around it. That was Kate had made that. And then I think the last one, that was the Christmas card from, I believe, last. So we visited a lot of states in the East and the West, but the center states are kind of harder to get to, and so we've kind of been focusing on them the last couple of years. So last year we did a road trip through Kansas, Oklahoma, and Nebraska. Our base was pretty much in Kansas. We stayed in Topeka, but from there we actually found quite a bit to do in Kansas, and we took a day trip to Nebraska, and then also a short day trip to Oklahoma because that was a longer drive. If you remember Evel Knievel from when we were kids, there was an Evel Knievel museum, and it was like anything you'd ever think about. I mean, you could like actually sit on the actual motorcycle, and they would have movies and all kind of paraphernalia, like a lot of things kind of in regards to his life. And it's a pretty nice sized museum. It's actually in this motorcycle shop. That was the one. Virginia, they don't get the cold and the snow like we do, but the last couple of years, I think they've gotten more snow than we have, which is kind of interesting. But that was around, I think that's around 2019, because I think Kai is about 4.5 in that one. That was pre-COVID. I dated a lot of things like pre-COVID, post-COVID, because it kind of helps me remember the dates a little more. But that was one of the times that they don't have to get a lot of snow to get a snow day down there. So they were all excited because they were able to go outside and build this little snowman. And that was their previous house. They've lived in, I gosh, like 3 or 4 different places since they've